Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Yasmin Awalia Nadira Putri. I'm from class 4A in English department. Now, in this video, I will tell my opinion about education in the pandemic era that we have passed a few years ago. And in addition, another purpose of this video is also to fulfill the academic listening task that has been given by Mrs. Annie, the lecturer of academic listening course. Alright, I will share my opinion about education during a pandemic. But first, I will tell you my opinion about the pandemic period itself that you and I have gone through as well. About the pandemic era, I think it's not only me who thinks that the pandemic era is a difficult era or a difficult period or a difficult year. At that time, I was still in high school, yeah, I remember, but I was almost graduate, only 2 months and a half left for me to graduate and celebrate the graduation party. But all of them were cancelled. Yeah, all of them were cancelled because it had entered the beginning of the pandemic era, where the coronavirus was still surging around the world and health protocols were still very strict. But everyone was ordered to lock down at home, not to leave the house. Even if you want to leave the house, you had to wear a mask and wash your hand regularly or carry hand sanitizer. And yes, during the pandemic too, everyone at that time became productive at home. I also felt that. There were two things I often did during the pandemic before entering college. I often watching movies and cooking or making all kinds of snacks with my aunties and my cousin. So in a sense, at the beginning of the pandemic, everything was still adapting to doing activities at home, and basically this is a very difficult period or a difficult era or a difficult year. And then in addition to affecting daily activities, it turns out that the pandemic era or the pandemic period also affected the world of education. Like everything suddenly become online. Everything suddenly went online. Like school registration become online, university admission registration become online, the introduction of school or university period become online, even learning activities also become online. So yeah, basically almost all activities during the pandemic are carried out online. And my opinion about education in pandemic era, of course there are the advantage and the disadvantage. So in my opinion, the advantage that I felt during the pandemic in education are the growing use of technology, especially used in learning. For example, such as the LMS, Learning Management System, and the use of Zoom or Gmeet in creating classroom, and etc. I mean that it is extraordinary because even in the pandemic era, learning activities are not hindered and can still be carried out in using, and we can also recognize the existence of such technology and are trained in using it. Another advantage I think is that time and a place of learning are flexible. We can do learning activities anywhere and anytime as long as our connection is in a good condition. But I still think that the most comfortable part of learning activities is at home other than at school or at campus. And then another advantage is that in online learning it doesn't cost much and can be accessed easily via our cell phone and our laptop. Okay, next is my opinion about the disadvantage of education during the pandemic. The first disadvantage is the lack of interaction between lecturers and student with student. I mean direct interaction. Actually, this makes me quite sad because I can get to know the lecturers or even my friends directly at first. Then the second disadvantage is the internet connection, which can be unstable, such as a sudden power outage or the area where the network is inadequate, so this can interfere with the ongoing learner activities. And the thing about this network is the thing that irritates me the most. So yeah, those are the two biggest disadvantages when doing online learning in my opinion. The things that I feel most often when participating in online learning so far are more or less like the advantage and disadvantage that I stated earlier. In a sense, online learning or education that occur during this pandemic period or this pandemic era, in my opinion, is effective. Everything can still be carried out even though it is in a pandemic era. It is in a pandemic. However, I think it may be considered less efficient or satisfactory due to the lack of interaction between teachers, lecturers, and students. Honestly, at first, I was not used to all this, like just stay at home or doing everything online. But however, over time, everyone has become accustomed to doing activities online. Well, maybe that's all I can say in this video about my opinion about education during a pandemic, or education during in a pandemic era. Sorry if there are many mistakes. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.